Rain slammed the windows of the Bronx auto shop like a warning. The garage buzzed with the usual chaos, wrenches clanking, engines revving, someone cursing about a stripped bolt. No one noticed the front door open. Not at first. Then came the silence. A white man stood in the doorway, soaked in rain, dragging a Harley with one hand like it weighed nothing. His face was hard, lined with sun and time. His leather jacket was stiff, faded. On his back, stitched in bold white, Hell's Angels. The shop floor shifted. A few mechanics backed up. One whispered, "He's trouble." Another just crossed his arms, watching. But Maya didn't move. She wiped her hands on her jumpsuit and stepped toward him. 27. Black. The only woman on the floor. And the only one not frozen. The man's voice cracked. "I'm not looking for anything, okay? My bike died 2 blocks back. My daughter, she's at Uptown General. She's 8, in surgery, internal bleeding. I gotta get there. Please." No one said a word. The front desk girl, Kim, popped her gum louder like it was a game. "No ticket, no work," she mumbled, not even looking up. "I don't need full service," the biker said. "Just need her to start. I'll pay." "Maya?" a voice barked from the back. Derek, the manager. His steel-toe boots echoed as he stormed out of his office. "Maya, don't even think about it." She didn't answer, just walked straight to the bike and crouched beside it. "I said don't touch that bike," Derek snapped. "No ticket, no repair. That's policy. You touch it, you're on your own." "He's not asking for a rebuild," Maya said, calm. "He's asking for help. We don't get paid for help. We get paid for protocol." Derek's face burned red. The biker shifted like he wanted to disappear. "Forget it," he muttered. "I'll push it somewhere else." Maya popped the ignition panel. Her hands moved fast. Muscle memory. A click. A turn. A spark. Derek's voice cracked like a whip. "That's it. You're fired." The whole garage went quiet. No one moved. No one said a word. The Harley coughed, then roared to life. The biker blinked. You didn't have to do that." She stood slowly. "Yeah, I did." Derek just stared. Maya didn't look back. Not even once. She didn't cry in the elevator. She waited until she got to the alley behind the building where no cameras were watching. Only then did Maya let herself exhale, pressing her palm against the side of her burning face. The imprint of his hand was still there. So was the heat behind her eyes. But the tears never made it out. She walked 3 blocks in silence, shoes scraping against the wet pavement. Downtown Manhattan was still alive even this late, but she felt completely invisible. That wasn't new. At the corner, she stepped into the all-night diner where she picked up extra shifts. The manager nodded. No questions asked. She tied her apron, kept her head down, and worked until sunrise. By the time her son woke up, breakfast was already on the table. "Mommy, are we still poor?" Zion asked between bites of toast. She smiled like it didn't hurt. "Not poor, baby. Just early in the story." He laughed like it made sense. Later that morning, Maya sat by the window in their tiny 2-bedroom apartment, laptop open, zoning out as Zion built a Lego spaceship on the carpet. Her fingers moved over the keyboard out of habit, not because anyone was watching. Just a quiet routine. She didn't have the right degree, didn't have the LinkedIn network. But what she did have was memory. Code was her language, her calm. She built things at night the same way she used to, before everything fell apart. Before that corporate job disappeared. before one email, sent to the wrong person, turned her into a security threat. Before every job application vanished into silence after background checks. No one cared about what she knew, only where she'd come from, only what she looked like. She had learned to stop talking about her past. It only made people uncomfortable. When they saw a black woman cleaning their offices, they didn't imagine tech brilliance or software patches or security protocols. They just saw someone to ignore. So she became exactly that, invisible, until tonight. Until her fingerprints showed up again, inside the very system she once saved. Now she had a choice. Let him think she was a mistake, or force him to see what he missed, even if it meant standing in front of the man who hit her, even if it meant risking everything again. That night, Maya lay awake, staring at the ceiling, fingers still twitching from the day's wait. Her phone buzzed beside her on the nightstand. Unknown number, just 3 words. "You still good?" She knew who it was. The biker. She didn't respond. She didn't know what to say. She wasn't mad at him. She just didn't want to unravel. Not tonight. The next morning came without rest. She laced up her boots out of habit, paused halfway, then did it anyway. It felt better to wear them, like she still had purpose. She packed her tool roll and headed out, nowhere to go, but something inside her refused to stay still. Her first stop was a tiny garage on Jerome and 161st. She'd done freelance brake work there 2 summers back. The manager remembered her, even smiled. But when she told him where she'd last worked and why she left, his face shifted. The smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. "We'll call you if anything opens up," he said, voice polite, but final. By lunchtime, she had knocked on 3 more doors. One turned her down immediately. Another said they weren't looking for strong personalities. The last one glanced at her over his glasses and muttered, "You sure this is your kind of work?" She walked out before he could finish. It wasn't just the job loss. It was the way no one asked for her side. No one cared what really happened. They just saw a woman who broke the rules. A black woman who stepped out of line. By late afternoon, she was back on her building's stoop. Sunlight stretched long over cracked pavement. Kids shouted in the distance. Someone's radio played Old Soul from an open window. She still hadn't told her mom the full truth. Inside, the apartment was quiet. Her mother had gone to a clinic appointment, and the place felt hollow without the buzz of the TV or the soft hum of prayer. She sat at the table and opened her phone. The message was still there. "You still good?" This time, she didn't delete it. She just stared. Another message came in, seconds later. "You didn't deserve that." She swallowed hard. Then the screen lit up again. This time, a call from a landline. "Hello?" she answered, unsure. "Miss Williams?" A woman's voice, crisp, formal. "This is Lauren from Autopro Corporate. Our executive director would like to speak with you at your earliest convenience." Maya blinked. I don't understand. Why?" "Mr. Ellison personally requested a meeting. He said it's urgent." Her hands went cold. Ellison. The name didn't need explaining. She whispered, "Okay." Maya stood outside the glass tower in Midtown Manhattan, staring up like it might swallow her whole. The Autopro headquarters shimmered in the morning light, cold steel and polished windows that reflected everything except people like her. She adjusted the collar of her navy sweater, the best thing she owned that didn't have oil stains. Her boots were scuffed, worn, familiar. She didn't try to hide them. Inside, the lobby smelled like leather and filtered air. Too clean, too still. The receptionist smiled too politely and handed her a temporary badge. 18th floor, she said. They're expecting you. The elevator ride felt longer than it should have. Her reflection in the mirrored walls showed a clenched jaw and unsure eyes. She exhaled, but it didn't help. When the doors slid open, natural light spilled into a modern waiting area. Soft gray carpets, minimalist decor, silence so deep it echoed. Maya. She turned. It was him, the biker. But he wasn't in leather this time. A crisp button-down, slacks that fit, his hair combed back, face freshly shaven. Still the same eyes, though, tired, stormy, human. I figured you'd come, he said gently. I almost didn't, Maya admitted. I'm Ryder, he said, holding out a coffee. Black, no sugar. She hesitated, took it. Not because she trusted him, but because it felt easier than saying no. He nodded toward the glass conference room. He's waiting. Inside, the room looked like it cost more than her entire apartment building. A man in his 50s stood when she entered. Tall, black, perfectly tailored suit, a watch that caught the sunlight just right. Miss Williams, he said. I'm Isaac Ellison, CEO. They shook hands. Hers was slightly clammy. His was steady, warm. Please, he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. I'd like to hear your story. Unfiltered. Maya paused, then spoke. She told him everything. About the man who came in desperate. About Kim chewing gum like he was a waste of air. About Derek shouting across the garage like Maya was a disobedient child. About how no one moved, no one helped, and when she did, fired. Ellison didn't interrupt, not once. His jaw only clenched once, when she repeated Derek's exact words. When she finished, she sat back, tired all over again. I'm not asking for anything, she added. I just want you to know how your people run your shop. Ellison nodded slowly. Most people would have gone to social media, he said. Lit the place on fire. But you didn't. That says a lot. I didn't want attention, Maya said. I just wanted to do the right thing. Ryder, seated to her right, smiled faintly. Ellison leaned forward. Derek Reynolds was terminated this morning, effective immediately. Maya blinked. Wait, really? Told you we'd handle it, Ryder added. Ellison opened a folder. We're offering you a promotion, lead technician, full benefits, 15% raise. You'll manage the Bronx floor. You'll have final say on shop conduct and hires. Maya stared at the folder, at her name typed so neatly at the top. Why me? She whispered. Because, Ellison said, you already lead. And we need leaders who don't wait to be told what's right. She didn't answer right away. She didn't need to. She just nodded. And this time, when she walked out of the building, it wasn't as someone who had been erased. It was someone who had just been seen. The next morning, Maya stood in front of the same garage that had once thrown her out like she didn't matter. But this time, she wasn't holding a wrench. She was holding power. The AutoPro Bronx branch looked exactly the same. Same cracked sidewalk, same flickering overhead sign, same dull smell of burnt oil leaking from the side bay. But when Maya stepped inside, everything felt different. The receptionist, Kim, blinked like she'd seen a ghost. Can I help you? Maya offered a tight nod. I'm here for Jonas. Kim stuttered. He's in the back, I think. Maya didn't wait. She walked past her like she belonged there, because now She did. In the back, Jonas stood hunched over a chassis, earbuds in. He didn't notice her until she tapped his shoulder. He jerked back, startled. "Maya!" She crossed her arms. "Not visiting. I'm back. Lead tech. Official dot." He stared. "Wait. For real?" "Straight from the CEO." He scratched his head. "Damn!" She paused. "I'm not here to fight, but I'm not here to play either. I know how this shop works. The whispers, the sideways glances, the assumptions. That's done now. If you're with me, good. If not, step aside." Jonas didn't flinch. "I'm with you." By noon, word had already spread. Some techs nodded respectfully. Others watched from corners, unsure how to react. A few, like Mike, muttered behind her back, low enough to stay safe. She didn't chase approval. She didn't need it. Let them adjust. Let them watch. That afternoon, in her newly assigned office, a small corner space with a dusty window and a half-broken fan, she stared at her inbox. A new message sat at the top. Subject: Internal Equity Access. Attached: Incident logs, performance audits, staff evaluations. She scrolled. Cold numbers, long graphs, names and dates and red flags. Then she saw it. Employee: Maya Williams. Incident: Type: Non-compliance. Action taken: Immediate termination. Manager: D. Reynolds. They'd buried her with one line. But now she had the file. She printed it, folded it, and tucked it into her back pocket. That night, she sat on her fire escape with a notebook and a cheap pen. She didn't write out of anger. She wrote out of clarity. About that day. About how no one moved. About the silence. About the line Derek crossed. About the man who walked in needing help. And the system that pretended he didn't exist. At the top of the page, she wrote one sentence and circled it in red. "We don't see people like her." Then she opened her podcast app. She hit record, and she told the story. Not screaming, not begging, just speaking. And before she could change her mind, she hit publish. By the next evening, the podcast had crossed 5,000 plays. She hadn't promoted it, hadn't even added a description, just titled it, "What Really Happened in Bay 4." Comments poured in, from mechanics in Detroit, from nurses in Baltimore, from a janitor in Philly. "I've been there. Thank you for saying it out loud. I thought I was the only one." Maya didn't reply. She just read every word. At headquarters, someone forwarded the episode to Ellison. He listened to it alone in his office, Ryder sitting across from him. "She's not holding back," Ryder said. "She shouldn't," Ellison replied. Then he sat up straighter. "Let's not waste this." The next morning, Maya got an email. Subject: URGENT. Meeting request. Conference room B. No explanation, just a time and a location. When she walked into the room, it wasn't the CEO. It was the board. 8 people, 3 women, 5 men, all older, all corporate clean, not a speck of grease under a single fingernail. They stood when she entered, a show of respect, or maybe just politics. "Maya," Ellison said finally, "thanks for coming." A man in a gray suit jumped in. "We've been reviewing your podcast. Very powerful, very raw." Another woman added quickly, "There's concern about the brand, public perception." Maya sat down slowly. "So you want to shut it down?" "No," Ellison said. We want to guide it, shape the message, so it doesn't get out of control. A third voice chimed in. Legal. Of course. We'd like to offer you a formal role. Public relations, employee communications. We'll help script future episodes, controlled delivery, clean optics. Maya's face didn't move. You want to pay me to make it pretty. Silence. She looked at each of them. Let me be clear. This didn't start because I wanted a mic. It started because no one would look me in the eye when I got erased. So if you're asking me to dress this up, smile for the camera, and pretend everything's okay... Ellison leaned in, voice steady. You're not being erased anymore. She met his gaze, unwavering. Then, don't ask me to act like it didn't happen. The room stayed quiet for a long beat. Finally, HR cleared her throat. So, how do you want to do this? Maya answered without flinching. We do it real. No scripts, no filters. I want to tell the stories no one asks about. I want other workers to speak. Not just me. The janitors. The warehouse crews. The overnight techs. I want the truth. That's risky, someone muttered. So is silence, Maya replied. And there it was, the kind of truth you couldn't unhear. 3 days later, she was standing in front of a camera crew at HQ. No script, no teleprompter, just her. I don't think I'm brave, she began. I think I got tired. Tired of fixing things no one wanted to admit were broken. She paused. You don't need a title to tell the truth. You just need a mic. The red light on the camera blinked. She didn't flinch. Maya didn't expect the episode to go viral inside the company, but it did. By the end of the week, her words were being played during team meetings across multiple Autopro locations, from Seattle to Charlotte. Even in her own Bronx branch, the garage stood still as her voice echoed over the intercom. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just fixed his bike. And I got fired for it. Everyone watched. No one spoke. She didn't name names. She didn't have to. After the playback, Jonas walked beside her for a while in silence. I remember that day, he finally said. I told myself you had it handled, that it wasn't my place. You and everybody else, Maya replied. Jonas nodded, slow and sincere. I was wrong. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. That afternoon, she received another email, this time from Ellison's assistant. Subject: Expansion proposal. Need your voice. She replied instantly. I'll be there by 3. But this wasn't the podcast studio or the cozy conference room. This was the boardroom. A city initiative was taking shape, a partnership between Autopro and the Office for Vocational Equity. The goal? To create mentorship pipelines, grant programs, and female-led garages across underserved neighborhoods. They wanted Maya to be the first flagship mentor. The blueprint. When she stepped out of the meeting, the city's commissioner was waiting downstairs. You really fixed more than a motorcycle, Ms. Williams, the woman said. You cracked open a whole system. Maya couldn't argue with that. Within weeks, the funding was approved. Ryder found a rundown garage in East Tremont, shut down since the pandemic, but solid bones. She walked through it and saw more than rust and dust. She saw open bays, open doors, and no more locked voices. She named it Mitchell Motors, after her late father, who taught her how to feel tension in a bolt and when to let go. The sign out front wasn't neon. It was steel, hand-welded. Her design. At the grand opening, her mom stood in the front row. Ryder by her side, Jonas wiping his hands nervously behind a table of free donuts. Maya wore her oil-stained boots and a fresh navy jumpsuit, her name stitched in bold white thread. "This isn't just a garage," she said to the crowd. "It's a workshop for possibility. A place where doing the right thing won't cost you your job. A place where people are seen by how they show up, not how they look." Applause followed, but it was the quiet afterward that meant more. 2 weeks later, a girl named Tessa stopped by with her older brother. Big eyes, nervous hands. "You want to try?" Maya asked, holding out a torquey wrench. Tessa nodded fast. "Good," Maya whispered. "Don't let anybody tell you your hands weren't made for this." That night, as Maya locked up the garage, the sky deepened above her. She looked up at the steel sign, Mitchell Motors, its letters catching the streetlight. She didn't build it to be thanked. She built it so the next girl wouldn't have to beg to be seen. And now, no one could erase her again.